I wanted to get this one out sooner to you guys, but I've just been kind of busy with work and whatnot. So, like, videos are kind of not really going to be on hold, but basically when I get to it, when I get to it. So, I basically seen Final Destination opening night and 4DX, and honestly, it was an experience that I needed in a very long time. Now, I grew up watching the Final Destination films. I love every single one of them except like 4 because that's actually just, you know, genuinely the worst one in the series. But I still can very much appreciate these movies for what they are. They're very schlocky, campy, accidental death movies that you don't really go into them watching it for like any plots or anything. But there is definitely a lot more fun to it when you just turn your mind off. And that's the thing with a lot of horror movies. If you know my horror movie like list that I like, you would see that a lot of them are very campy, very over the top, gruesome movies that I just enjoy watching. And Final Destination is definitely not shy of being gruesome, at least in the new one. So Bloodlines essentially tells the story of this chick in the 60s who had a premonition and she saves a bunch of people, and whenever you fuck with death, it does not take it kindly. It takes it very, very personally, and one way or another it's going to get to you in probably the worst kind of ways, probably the most gruesomest of ways possible. And that's what this series is known for. It's gruesome, grotesque, accidental deaths of everyday things that you never really think about, but it's like you see, for instance, a thumbtack on the floor. It's like you step on that thumbtack, that leads into another thing, and you fall, and next thing you know, the wind just miraculously knocks your TV down and just crushes you. That's just the gist of all the movies. What I could appreciate about Bloodlines is they take things up an ante, and instead of like making it a big group of friends that are just like getting murked one by one, it's actually a family this time. And the things that they do with this family, I think, is very creative. I think it's a very good way of explaining, if you're not even supposed to be alive, death is going to make sure of that. And it's a very fun, goofy way of showcasing how far the series has come along. And it's a definitely good return to form. I'm exceptionally, just extremely excited for if they're deciding to make like a 7 or even like up to an 8. It's just one of those things where, yeah, they're probably going to make a franchise out of it some more, squeeze some a little extra dollars, but I really wouldn't be upset with that. So I know you don't really want to get into the plots of a Final Destination film. I know everyone's kind of like irking for that. Well, the most important thing is, how are the kills? Are the kills, are they like good? Are they better than like 3? And I have to say, no, the movie is not better than 3. I think 3, in my opinion, is the best film, but like this one, it's definitely up there in my top 3 because there's only 6 of them, but I would definitely say this is definitely on the better end of the movies. They don't really try to over explain anything. They don't really try to like have an overarching thing, like no character redemption arcs. Like, they know exactly what you came for and they deliver that perfectly. That being said, the deaths in this movie I feel are very much, the thing is, I'd say with the exception of 2 deaths, all of them feel exactly the same. And that's my biggest gripe about, whenever movies feel this way, is that it's either someone's getting crushed or just something's getting shot at somebody and then boom, like it's a grotesque image. Um, and that's one thing that I feel like Final Destination does a lot. And it's just, I think the fear of being crushed by something is definitely up everyone's mind. But I will say the way they executed people being crushed is kind of a very unrealistic way, which is why it's not as high as I really want this movie to be. But I mean, it's really not a bad film. If you're a fan of Final Destination, then you're definitely going to like Bloodlines. If you're not a fan, then I don't really think this one's going to win you over. And that's just my personal opinion about it. Not needless to say, I'm not saying it's a bad movie. It's definitely one of those movies that you want to put on at a party and have like a 2000s, modern 2000s party, I would say. Because to be honest with you, I think that's what horror movies are kind of leaning into now. It's just more of that 2000s feel, which I'm not complaining at all. I love the 2000s era of horror, and Anybody who knows me knows that they were very campy. They never really took themselves seriously, and they were just extremely violent. Like, they pushed the boundaries of what an R rating could be, and that's what I really appreciate about them. So, Final Destination Bloodlines, I'd say it's a pretty good in my book. Definitely go watch it. I would honestly, I wouldn't rush to go see it, but also at the same time, I wouldn't wait to go see it. It's not that it's a bad movie. It's not that it's not a good movie, because it is a good movie. You know, it's a very nice message to, you know, just appreciate family time that you have. It's Tony Todd's last performance, and that last performance kind of did like kind of hits you right in the feels seeing him for one last time. But needless to say, yeah, go check it out. Thanks for watching.